Minutes. Okay, we are live now. Welcome everyone to a very overdue BioDevils podcast. I'm joined by many guests here today. Not really many, but a few guests here. So why don't we start introducing them? So I'm going to start off with Ren. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Doing pretty good. Glad to be here once again.
Oh, look at this casual.
This cast count.
Cash cow.
Alrighty. Next up we have our new regular, Levy. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
These potato chips showed no mercy.
You're still fucking a bag
But
of
yes,
potato chips.
we're back, bitches. Yeah, we're going to have so much fun today.
I've been fucking them ever since last
This
night.
man has been fucking a bag of potato chips for the last 24 hours.
Hey man, he got the last animal.
I took breaks.
Yeah!
I took breaks. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, that's what they all say. Anyways, next up is another one of our regulars, Devil Hunter James. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
What do you call it? It's my first time here.
No, I said
are you?
it's your regular here.
I don't know what you mean, sir. I'm brand new. What's up, guys?
Wait. Who is James? I never heard of him before.
He's a
Sounds
fox
like a
lover.
furry.
You talk to him every day.
Sounds like a furry.
No, I don't. I don't remember him. I had never seen a man
true.
as ugly as him. No.
Greetings, Mr. Overlord.
Anyway, last but not least, we have another one of our regulars, Brandon. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Finally, the BioDevils are off it from vacation, and I'm new here.
Yep. Why are you all doing this?
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Casual.
And no one knows who I
Thank
am
you, Mr.
still.
Furry.
Oh.
Damn, why are you all ship posting? Anyways, let's dive right into these topics, because we have a lot to cover, and anyone who's taken a look at the document knows what I'm talking about.
Holy
I
fucking
did post
shit,
a
that's a lot
copy
of
that.
answers, I see.
Yeah. Comprende.
Oh man. Well, yeah, fucking Ren knows. But a lot of these will be passing through because they're nothing like major. But
Good lord,
we
these are
will
9
do
pages.
some discussions on that. So, yeah,
I ain't got
this is
time.
what
What the
happens when we
heck?
go on break.
71?
Even
This
Brandon.
is what happens when we go on break.
No, dude. It should have been 72 for the 72 virgins I'm getting.
Oh, get out, you terrible.
Jesus Christ.
Go home. Anyways, let's stop delaying this any longer and just get right into it. So first things up, Way of the Samurai 3 is coming to Steam. I think we did talk about this on the TCP a while ago, so for anybody that is interested in that, I would recommend checking it out. It's actually a pretty fun niche title. Next up, this is kind of some old news here too, but Japan is still refusing to comply with the UN about banning video games with quote-unquote sexual violence in them. So good on Japan. This one I actually want to talk about really quick. So the Metal Gear Solid 4 the Metal Gear Solid Unreal 4 remake has been canceled. Is anyone here surprised?
No,
The answer should be no.
because
Yes, I'm very surprised.
Konami issued a takedown notice on the last Metal Gear project, so it figures that this was going to get it's going to get his ass kicked in a matter of time.
Yeah, a lot of people had assumed that Konami was going to greenlight this, but even so, with the last project, the last fan project, which was for Metal Gear, that was actually approved for a little bit by Konami, and at the time, Kojima Productions LA was even going to help out with that. And they were bringing in David Hayter to do the voice of Solid Snake and Big Boss. They were going to basically keep the traditional playstyle of overhead and just not have it 2D, but still have it in that 3D style with some cell shading, I think. but that ended up getting canceled later down the line. So it's really not surprising that they would do this, even if it was going to get greenlit by Konami.
And that one was really interesting because this was a remake of Metal Gear Solid that they canceled. Now that they canceled the remake for Metal Gear 1, it makes me wonder what else is Konami going to do with this IP instead of just putting it in
Milk
a
it to death.
pachinko slot machine. Yeah.
I think that's went wrong
For-
with that. It's like that Konami saw this, like, oh, you got a nice little project there. It's gonna have a pachinko machine. No, we're gonna cancel it.
And I think it's pretty much confirmed that they have a patchy slot game coming called Big Boss. So, yeah.
These nuts.
Correct, and not only that, but they did say they were going to make a new Metal Gear Solid. I don't think they ever specified if that was going to be a reboot or a new series in general that takes place with the current canon or anything like that. But apparently there is supposed to be more Metal Gear games coming, which I know a lot of people said that after 5 came out that they were pretty much done with the series because it wasn't a Hideo Kojima game, or it wasn't anybody from Kojima Productions making those Metal Gear Solid games, so they weren't interested.
Yeah.
I don't think we got Brandon's input on that, but
Sorry, I answered the phone.
oh, you're
real quick.
back.
Yeah, I had to answer the phone.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's cool. We were talking about the Metal Gear Solid Unreal 4 remake being canceled, and we were talking about
Oh, that ain't surprising.
yeah, we were talking about the a lot of those projects being canceled and whatnot.
Yeah,
But,
it's a shame that
did you want to
companies
put
are
your
canceling
opinion on that?
Oh, sorry. It's a shame
Yeah.
that companies are canceling Unreal 4 projects. You remember what Nintendo did with Mario and the fan remake? I think it did the same thing for
Yeah.
Zelda, I believe.
Then the same thing also happened to Sonic.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, there were 3 remakes in particular using Unreal 4. It was Mario 64. I think Spyro 1 was getting an Unreal remake, and
would've wanted that.
Sonic was, and then I think Zelda is
Ocarina.
also getting, which would make it to 4. But I think Zelda was also getting a remake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was Ocarina of
but yeah.
Time.
Ocarina of Time, which looked really, really good.
Yeah, for remakes like that, Unreal 4 is great. When it's a fan remake. Although when it comes to doing a remake and it's an official remake, like say like Resident Evil 2 remake, you kind of hope it's not Unreal 4 and you hope it's an in-house engine, because Unreal 4 is kind of like the last resort or the only resort if you're an indie developer, and to kind of go off of that with like fan remakes and whatnot, and I know this is kind of derailing a little bit, but a lot of these fan remakes get canceled. And one thing that I actually applaud Capcom for doing with the Resident Evil 2 fan remake, the what was it, Resident Evil 2 Reborn, they actually hired that fan team to work on Resident Evil 2 for the remake. So I don't see why these companies don't try to hire these these fans to work on either new IPs regarding the franchises that they're trying to do fan remakes of, or actually hire them to do an official remake.
Which would have been nice, but
with-
no,
Right.
says these companies. They're ruining our business. Ugh. It's just
If anything, and I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's essentially saying fans can't do what we already did. They can't improve it either.
No, so
Yeah,
they won't make money.
and I think true, and I think props on Capcom for this, but I really think that they saw that if we hire these fans, we can not only maybe, I don't know, because obviously employers are going to think how much can we pay these individuals, but they were probably thinking, well, we can do less work or get more work out of it because we're hiring new people to come help us with this. They understand what people want because they're fans of this franchise, and we have less of a hassle when making this remake. And I think a lot of these companies need to understand that if they do that, if they hire these fans, they can make money out of it make an official remake of whatever game that they were trying to remake, and everyone wins in that situation. Those companies make money, people get jobs, and people also get the game that they wanted a remake of. So, in the end, it's a win-win situation.
Hmm.
But does anybody else have
Alright.
anything to say before we move on to the next topic?
Nah, I think we
No,
already
not
said
really,
a lot
though.
about
You
it.
were
Pretty
saying,
much,
Brandon?
no, I was saying, like, we got
covered it.
everything already, so let's move on.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would just like to say that for fan projects, they really need to. If the developers won't do it themselves, then I don't see why they don't use this as an opportunity. Because even though Capcom is a lot of things, at least they decided to give that fan, the benefit of the doubt with Street Fighter X Mega Man. Even though they didn't really
Mhm.
credit him, from what I gathered, they at least like tried to use his game or whatever and tried to get it out there for people to use it and play with it. So
Yeah, another example. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say this before we move on. It's like there's one instance where Nintendo actually applauded someone for doing a translation from Mother 3. They
Yeah.
saw his work and they're like, "This is really good work." Even the guy who translated it said, "I will give you this translation for free so everyone can experience it."
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They certainly need to give these people their recognition because they put in a lot more work than some of the developers do. It's every time it's a crying shame when Capcom says they cannot put something on PC and the fans do it for them. So yeah, I definitely think that they
Just
deserve
hire the
credit.
fans. It will save them money in the
Well,
long run.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not worried because for Mother 3, I
it's
just
like
sorry, I was gonna say for Mother 3, I just bought a modded cart that has the English translation inside of it, so I'm good.
Mhm.
nice.
So you can move on.
Anyways, to move on, Amazon Japan is apparently now shipping to overseas, so importers rejoice. As someone who has imported games, as someone who's imported games before, I think that's pretty good news to hear that you can now ship stuff overseas. So that helps out a ton.
You hear that,
were
weeaboos?
you
Now
gonna
you can buy your bunny pillows and they'll ship to your house.
There's the guy who imported.
Damn, Levy's gone on a weeaboo roast.
I'm
In
sorry.
some bigger news, in some bigger news, since a majority of us are in here are Devil May Cry fans, Devil May Cry 5 is being hinted by Johnny Young Bosch, Nero's voice actor, and this is the second individual that has been on a Devil May Cry game to hint at this sequel. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I
I just
If whoever wants to go, whoever wants to go, I don't know who wants to go.
Finally, go do it. About
Do it
time.
already.
Jesus Christ, give
I
us
pulled
5.
I pulled out the lotion already.
get the baby oil.
I just came already. What do I do?
Get out the aloe vera.
Ouch!
I'm gonna
Yeah.
need that baby oil for a
Time
while.
to go get the Bengay.
Oh my god.
Okay. I think I think this is some pretty exciting news. Yeah, so I think this is some pretty exciting news overall. It's nice to see that this is the second voice actor who has ever worked on a Devil May Cry game to hint at that. And we'll finally be getting the sequel that we deserve and need for this franchise. So
Yay.
that's very nice to see. Anyways, unless if anybody else has anything to say, we can move on.
I hear you mumbling like a faggot.
Moving on.
Mad cosplay.
Anyway, okay. Anyways, back in 1995 is a survival horror game. We also talked about this on the TCP podcast. That's inspired. It's a survival horror game inspired by classics like Silent Hill and Resident Evil. It was actually shown off at TGS 2015, but the only reason that we're talking about it now is that we missed it. We didn't even know that it was at TGS until just recently. So, from what I've seen, and I think some of you guys have already seen it as well.
I saw it.
It looks interesting. Yeah.
Like, what's it going to be for? Oh, it's only for Mac and PC. I was hoping that this would be out for like PSN as well.
It might be. You know, there's a lot of times where we see like PC games. They'll be exclusive to PC for like a year, and then they'll come out a year later on PS4 and Xbox Live, or just PS4 exclusively. So
Yeah, that'd be better.
we'll see. I would like to see it on the PS4 because I really want to see some more survival horror games in that style, because there is another survival horror game we're about to talk about on the next topic, but that will be when we move on. Unless if anybody else, or unless if everybody's good on this topic,
I'm
Move
good.
on.
move on. Alrighty, so yeah, in more survival horror news, another PT clone is fully funded, known as Visage. A lot of these get funded, or they're getting made, and myself personally, I lose more and more interest in these because, or I get annoyed by these more and more just because of the fact that so many people are trying to cash in on that, and it really gets rid of the originality of PT, or just
Yeah, it
the
does.
originality of what PT has done. So a lot of these are just not original to me. I don't even know why people are even trying to bother. I would say, if anything, people should just focus on the one that, small handful of games that were already made in that style, rather than making a new one every so often or every month or so.
Yeah.
Because it seems like we're seeing a new PT clone every month or so, or even less than that.
Well, it's like back to 1995. It actually has that homage to Resident Evil and Silent Hill. At least that game looks original.
I think people are trying to capitalize on PT's success. They really are. They saw that it was a success, and now there has to be countless imitators. Like that Allison Road thing, I thought that thing would never match the success of PT, to be honest, because it looked like such a cheap imitator.
Then all of them.
Yeah, my.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say all these games nowadays. All these games nowadays, it's like Daylight, Outlast. They're trying to be like PT, but it's not.
No, they existed before PT.
Outlast came before that. Like, wait.
Okay, well, okay. What about Daylight? Was that before or after?
I have no idea.
Well,
Wait,
Daylight.
Not
well, the
sure.
reason.
I know a lot of people like to say that The Evil Within is a clone of Outlast, despite The Evil Within being in
It's very
development,
similar to Outlast.
development longer than Outlast, but that's a whole nother topic.
It's not even close to Outlast. What the heck?
main problem, my main problem with like a lot of these, as opposed to like back to 1995, is that I wouldn't mind seeing more classic style or first-person survival horror games, but a lot of these need to be varied up. And the problem with what we're seeing now, and why I honestly disagree with the whole term of survival horror coming back, is because we're just seeing first-person run-and-hide simulators rather than actually seeing what made survival horror what it is today, and that's, fixed camera angles and things of that nature. And even then, it doesn't have to necessarily be fixed camera angles. We've seen third-person style survival horror games like Dead Space and Resident Evil 4 do very well. So if more people decided to do that, or go back to like the roots of Resident Evil with like point and click and things of that nature, I don't think it'd be as much of a big deal if a lot of these hide and run simulators existed.
I think that didn't Amnesia start the whole craze of
Yeah,
the player character not being able to defend himself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I don't like that at all. I don't like the fact that you can't fight back. With Outlast, I'll make a small exception because at least the atmosphere was top notch in my opinion. But yeah, I don't like the fact you can't fight back.
Well, the things with Outlast is it makes sense because those guys aren't necessarily normal humans. They've been genetically altered, so they're like stronger than average man. So good luck fighting them.
Yeah, but there's still though, I would like to have at least a gun or some kind of defense item to defend myself if I get grabbed or something.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, like going kind of back a little bit back to back in 1995. As far as I'm aware, you can actually it's a lot like Silent Hill in the way that in the things that it does because you do get like melee weapons, but you also get firearms. So you know, things like that actually make a lot more sense. And yeah, I mean, we can talk about like survival horror games that are doing it better than something like this, but that would actually extend the podcast longer than it needs to be. So I think it's best that we move on now.
Yep.
Anyway, so Dark Souls 3 runs at 900p, 60 frame or not 60, 30 frames per second on Xbox One, and it suffers from frame rate drops. So anybody who's got an Xbox One, do you really want to get this game on Xbox One? Just
I
saying.
have an Xbox One, but I'm already getting it for PS4. Moving on.
So have fun
Yeah.
playing on your
Yeah.
overglorified toaster.
No, I get it. I said I'm getting it for PS4.
Be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more Dark Souls 3 news that we could go into more discussion on later down the line. So it's just going to be, you know, just that brief news of that. I want to hear James' thoughts about this. Hatsune Miku appears in DOX 3 as a crossover character.
His favorite character.
Yeah, your waifu, man.
Nope.
Yes.
I'm not
There's going to
giving
be
you
more
more
thought later.
glorified answer. Just the why?
Because
Hey,
What is everything for that anyway?
promotional because Sega and Temco, that's why.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I've seen a lot of comments saying that like Hatsune Miku makes a lot of the characters in that game look more realistic.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
she doesn't look normal at all. It's like she doesn't even belong. It looks like a straight glorified rip of an anime character model.
that's all that
Yeah,
is.
that's what it is.
Yeah, it looks abnormal in my opinion compared to those more kind of realistic looking ladies.
Anyways, this is actually something I think we can go into a little bit of a longer discussion. The PS4K is apparently real, and there are working prototypes at Sony's R&D labs. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And
Stupid idea.
why don't we discuss that a little bit?
They can market it so wrong if they decide to let us pay full price for this. I would be so alienated as a PS4 user.
Yeah.
Yep.
We talked about this on the on your podcast, Ren, a little bit, and I did bring up last time that you know, the best way to go about this is if they release parts that you can put into the current PS4 model, and you know those parts are compatible with the Slim and possible Super Slim if they do a Super Slim for the PS4. Obviously, the Slim is going to happen, but we don't know about a Super Slim at this point in time. But you know, and then not to mention if you don't really need the new PS4K and you can still play your the new PS4 games on the older models, there should be like graphic settings and whatnot, and that was something that I think we all agreed on, that the Division is actually not at fault for doing something like that.
Yep.
It got really dead silent. Does anybody else want to say anything?
Oh, no, sorry.
no,
Well,
I
if
got
you was
nothing
finished
for
talking.
it.
No, yeah, I was done. I was waiting for somebody else to talk, unless if like everyone wants to move on. I was hoping we could have a discussion
Yeah,
on that, but you know.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, what?
Hmm.
I agree, though. No. It better not be something over expensive, or it should be more like parts.
If it's not being sold like a PC, I don't care about it.
Yeah, same here. It's like I said on the other podcast that I have a gaming PC, so this doesn't matter to me with what they do. If they decide to make it like overpriced or something like that, like if that's the case, then you know I could simply upgrade my computer and I'll be done with something like that. But this is, you know, like I said, they need to have a model in play where it's good for the consumer. So if people want to turn in their PS4 and get this one, it should be cheaper. That's the only way I think it's going to work.
Yep, I definitely agree. Does anybody else have anything to say before we move on?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Other than Jay stating the
and
idea.
Let's just move
anyway,
on.
in some smaller news, the voice for Titus or Titus, however you want to pronounce that, from Final Fantasy X talks about the infamous laugh. I
English or
watched the video.
Japanese?
Apparently, the laugh was English. English. Apparently, the voice actor has stated in the video that it was done intentionally because that's how it's written in the script, and that's how
Yeah.
it was done in Japanese because the game came out in Japan before it got
Yeah,
localized. So.
like I know why. Like I think it was like they were trying to say you gotta laugh, so he just did that, like this fake laugh on purpose because of it.
Mhm.
Still terrible.
Well, he was saying that
And in
in the
Japanese.
video he says that in the video he says that it was on the script to do an awkward laugh, so that's why he did it that way. But you know, it is what it is.
Makes sense.
Yep. In some Resident Evil news, there's a new CGI movie coming out called Resident Evil Vendetta. I am probably going to look forward to this one because it's a CGI Resident Evil movie, and while the first CGI movie was a little bit disappointing, I at least enjoyed it in the
I
sense that it
enjoyed
was
it.
at least canon and made a lot more sense. And Leon's in it, so yeah.
Man,
Like,
people were
that's why I like
really
it.
salty about that.
Yeah, I am too. I'm tired of seeing
Oh,
him. He's in the
for
third movie now. Move on from Leon for one movie or game. Jesus Christ.
Well, I think
people
that
were
they're in this
hoping that they would
mentality.
just.
Bring back Moira.
Yeah, I think people
No,
are in
fuck
this.
that character.
People are
No,
in
no,
this
screw her
mentality of
too.
having the main characters debut more than the side characters, but I guess they don't understand that those characters have personality. So it sucks when you have to wait like about an eon for them to put Barry Burton into the experience. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like I said this
Um,
before, it should have been based around the former Stars members.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is that what they should have done was because Chris and Rebecca are in this movie apparently, and there is concept art of the movie I think as well. I think what would have worked is if they did Chris and Rebecca, just those two characters and no one else, or just get all of the Stars members with the exception of course the ones that are dead, and maybe kind of do like a pseudo retelling, but not so much of a retelling like of Resident Evil 1. Where they all just, go into a mansion and they find out that Wesker is the villain or some shit like that. I think it would be really interesting.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, everyone's gonna rip.
In reality, Jill is the villain.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, I would flip my shit if that was the case.
Wait, you want a retelling of RE1?
No, I'm saying that what they could have done, and kind of in the sense that Brandon was saying, where they have like all of the surviving Stars members go into a new CGI movie, and I was kind of going off of that with what if they did like a pseudo retelling where it's not RE1 in particular, but it kind of plays out like RE1 where they all run into a mansion and they, run into Wesker, who they already know is a villain at this point, but they find out more in the mansion and things of that nature.
I have an interesting question for you, Don. Considering the fact that they said this was going to be like a sort of reboot for the film series, that they were going to go back to horror, do you believe their words on this, or do you think it's going to be more action-oriented like the last two movies were?
I'm gonna say that I only partially believe it, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I think that there might be some more horror-based scenes, but there's definitely going to be action in it because we've seen with like the Revelation series that there's some horror things in there, but it's still got that action feel to it, and this is part of the fact that, or this is actually due to the fact that Kobayashi still works at Capcom. And Kobayashi himself admitted in a recent interview, one of the most disappointing things to ever be unveiled by Capcom, if you're a Resident Evil fan. He admits that that not only does he think that Resident Evil is all about entertainment, he also thinks that it should be made for casuals, and he says that he doesn't even like horror. So, you know, um, there's your answers as to why a lot of this stuff ends up turning out to be like action-oriented rather than survival horror. And it's because Kobayashi does not care about horror, so I would not be surprised if the CGI movie had more action than horror, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
The one reason why I don't necessarily believe it because Leon is like having that. What kind of motorcycle it is?
Now,
I could totally
He's-
I think they
picture
call
him.
it
Getting a
Ducati.
Ducati motorcycle.
Yeah,
Like, I
Ducati.
could totally picture him doing some over-the-top action scenes with that motorcycle. It's kind of right on the wall.
Tekken Blood Avengers confirmed.
Yes.
He's the new Jin confirmed.
There's some more vehicle product placements we will get to later because I do want to talk about that a little bit later when we get to that. But I think it's
Can
best
Chris
that we
drive a bit?
start to move on.
Mhm.
No, but it does involve a car though, so just know that. Anyways, the leaked NX controller is confirmed to be fake.
Not
so
surprising.
Not surprising.
there's a video on that.
I thought that was the new Vita.
I will give props to the guy. I will give props to the guy. He actually made a pretty good-looking fake, but that said, it is fake. MGO3 is receiving an update on the 7th, so look forward to that if you even bother with MGO3 anymore. KOF 14 has got a lot of new trailers. I think they also reveal a new character.
Don't care.
So yeah, if you want to check that out, go ahead.
Hey, KOF 14.
Homefront: The Revolution.
Go on.
Homefront: The Revolution shows off weapon customization, and for those of you that are familiar with any of the Crysis games and how that weapon customization works, it's basically the same thing. And it looks good. Like I'll say this: anything they really put into Homefront: The Revolution is going to be a vast improvement over the first Homefront, because the first Homefront, while a good concept, was not executed very well. It was basically a Battlefield clone, whereas this looks like a whole new innovation. PS4 exclusive gets new screenshots. It's for the JRPG Black Roads Valkyrie. And then this topic, I think, is going to be a little bit interesting to talk about. The Katamari creator is not comfortable with what Bandai Namco, I said Bandy Namco for some reason on that document, but Bandai Namco, what they're doing with the IP. Do you think that their concern is valid? I think so, to an extent.
Yeah, it is. It's because it's like the creator. It's like it's not even going to be under his creation. Now someone else took his work, his baby, if it's what you want to call it.
Yeah, isn't there a long history of creators basically not liking what the developers do with their projects afterwards? I remember Kamiya, he does not like any DMC game after DMC 1 at all.
Yeah, he can fuck himself.
I thought he likes the other ones.
No, didn't he criticize Dante or something like that?
Like, he doesn't like the later Dante. That's true. He only sees his Dante as a real Dante.
Yeah, he said he doesn't like
The voice crack Dante is the best Dante.
He's just mad because Itsuno bodied him in his own game.
But that's something that is quite common actually in video games.
I will say that the concern, it's partially valid, because sometimes we see creators and they might not do so well with what their creation is, like Kamiya, for example, and then when you see the new people that kind of continue on the legacy of a franchise, they do something much better with it. And Itsuno is a prime example of that, where he's made... he was involved very late into Devil May Cry 2's development, and then somehow brought the franchise from the dead with Devil May Cry 3 back and just made it much better. So I think that sometimes the concern is valid, and sometimes it's kind of irrational in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah, if they totally mess it
Um,
up, then I can completely understand. You pour a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this franchise, and then it all goes to waste with another company that can't do fuck all with it. But at the same time, if it's like an improvement, then you got to give it some sort of chance. At least, I would be happy if my franchise continued in a good way instead of being run into the ground. That's how I feel about it.
yeah.
Irony behind that is that Kamiya used Democrat 4 to make Bayonetta.
Yep.
Really?
Uh,
Yep.
so I just want to I want to read off this one comment. I really find this one funny. Dark Souls 3 looks exactly like Bloodborne, and
No, it
the loading
doesn't.
time is exactly the same. Looks garbage. My favorite Dark Souls is Dark Souls 2. I love it.
Who the fuck said that?
Man, this person
Oh
has the
God, James
shittiest of
get triggered.
opinions.
This
James is
this
gonna get triggered.
I,
James, are you trying to troll us now?
as someone who got into the Souls games through Bloodborne, and someone who's looking forward to Dark Souls 3, I can heavily and I've seen gameplay of Dark Souls 3. I can heavily confirm and say that Dark Souls 3 does not look like Bloodborne. The load times are not the same. There might be some things that act similarly in gameplay, and there might be some stuff that feels like it's from Bloodborne, but overall it is not the same thing. So
No.
that is a ridiculous comment to make. And yeah.
Go
So
back
I
to
just
your Call
wanted
of Duty, faggot.
this shitposting is real.
Hmm?
He sounded like a super scroll. My favorite was Dark Souls 2. So you like the worst Souls game?
I heard it was the worst. Yeah, I even
I
heard
It's not-
I,
it's
I
not a
want to
terrible
play that
game,
one
but
in
it's not a good
particular
Souls
just
game.
to see why it's bad.
Sure, it's not good. Souls
Because
game was not the
it
best Souls
breaks a
game.
lot of the formulas that Dark Souls 1 was so good at.
hmm We'll be talking about Dark Souls 3 in a little bit, actually. But anyways, in some smaller news, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure: Eyes of Heaven is or has gotten a new trailer. So if you want to check that out, be sure to do so. Dark Souls 3 patch will optimize performance of the international version. I believe this is the patch that fixes the loophole that people were getting around for the Xbox One version.
572.
You
Uh,
sorry fool.
yeah, so there's that. This one's a little bit interesting. David Hayter, the voice of Solid Naked Snake, or Big Boss, as some of you may know, says that Kojima tried to replace him before. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
When?
When?
during Metal Gear
During
Solid.
Metal Gear 3.
Yeah.
Nope.
Hmm.
I think he's just saying that because I don't know if this is true or not. Let me look at this article.
I think that was true. He has talked about that in a couple of fan interviews that he's done, that they were trying to replace him because they didn't want Naked Snake to sound like Solid Snake, so
Well,
they wanted a different voice.
that reason is understandable, but come on, they look the same. In that game,
Yeah,
they
they
look
really do.
exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They're supposed to be clones.
But no,
the
there's
thing,
a counter argument to that as well, though. So is Solidus and Liquid, and they don't look or sound like Big Boss.
But didn't Snake get all like
I thought Solidus looked like Big Boss, though.
there was, from my understanding, the thing is that Solidus, for whatever reason, does not sound like Big Boss, despite him being the perfect clone. Um, Liquid doesn't even look like Snake at all. He just looks like a bleached haired version of him that's from Britain. And then David, or Solid Snake, looks almost identical to him in his younger days, at least. Yet somehow sounds exactly like him for whatever reason. And I think that isn't really a big problem because, a lot of times you'll see people that sound exactly like their dads sometimes when they were younger, and it's possible. I mean, I think even David talks about how him and his dad sound really similar, so, I don't think that's really a big deal to have David continue, but at the same time, it does kind of make sense as to why they were going to replace him. So, it is what it is. But I do want to ask before we transition. Do you think it would have been right to replace David for Metal Gear Solid 3?
I mean, for the reason
Uh,
they're going for, I will understand though. But it's a yes and a no question, basically. I will say.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think there's reasons as to why it would make sense to replace him, but on the other hand, given that what we have in Metal Gear Solid 3, like a lot of the lines from David and whatnot, are just godlike, there is really no reason to replace him.
Exactly.
Ren, you were trying to say something earlier.
oh no, I just simply said like yeah, they replaced him, and they look the exact same. I don't think it would have made much of an impact, is what I was getting at.
Mm.
Like I think that so far David Hayter brings he brings a unique sense of humanity and humor to Snake, which I don't think that Kiefer really captured because they decided to make Snake mute for some reason. But that's what I feel. I think that they should have kept him along for the ride, and I think that the hate still would have been there if they would have replaced him in MGS3 to begin with.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this a little bit too before, whenever we talked about Metal Gear Solid 5, is that like, in Metal Gear in the Metal Gear Solid lore, like, Big Boss and Peace Walker is still like that happy, cheery, goofy guy after killing his mentor. But yet in MGS5, he's absolutely mute. He's not even the same character anymore. And for some reason, he gets depressed over some random soldiers he hired.
You know what? It just dawned on me. The voice actor for Big Boss and 4 is different too, but that's actually more
Yeah,
understandable.
that's
That was a lot more
understandable.
understandable. To my understanding, in the Japanese version, they actually got Akio Otsuka's dad to do Big Boss for that
Oh.
final scene in MGS4. So that's why they sound so similar whenever they do the voice acting in that one. But I think we've kind of digressed on this subject a little bit too long, so why don't we move on?
That was a good subject.
Yeah, it was definitely a good subject. Turok 1 and 2 HD are coming to Xbox One. I did leave that in the document for the other podcast, but I don't think we ever got to it. I was going to ask about what are your guys' thoughts on that coming to Xbox One, and do you think there's a possibility of that coming to PS4 and Wii U?
What, Turek?
Yeah, the HD remasters for those two games.
Boo. But which way come to Xbox One? That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. It's already on PC, so if anybody's on PC, they can already play it. But yeah, I think it can happen, but I don't know. Like, anybody else before we move on to the next bit of news?
I only played Turok 3, so I'm gonna have to skip on that one because I haven't played all the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty,
Move
I guess
on.
we can move on. So Dark Souls 3 speedrun clocks in at 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 10 seconds. So anybody that likes to do speedruns, I'd like to see somebody beat that record. Anyways, in some other news, Final Fantasy 15, Square Enix takes a look at a possible PC version, and there's also other info like launch date, frame rate, other features within the game, and so on and so forth. Also, the demo and anime stuff and all that good stuff. So if you want to take a look at that, be sure to do so.
I hope the PC version does happen, because
Yeah, that's
the
like
frame rate for the game is kind of meh.
Yeah.
Too much graphics.
Yeah.
Well, you can thank Nomura for that, because he said he's developing the game for himself because he's too old. That's why
It's
there's an
not for you,
auto
though.
attack button and 30 frames
He's
per
an old
second.
boner.
It's a very stupid statement to make. It's for me. Yeah, that's why you're giving it to other people.
Yeah.
Old people are stupid. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of there's going to be a lot of Final Fantasy 15 news that we're going to have to talk about. So
It makes me
Um,
wonder why he didn't find a successor or something like that. I know that's kind of diverging, but it's still, it still makes me wonder why he didn't do that.
yeah, true.
It's old
Um,
people.
Oh,
so Mega Man fans, if anyone has or hasn't played Mega Man Legends 2, it's coming to the PlayStation Store on April 5th, so look forward to that.
hooray!
Where's Mega Man Legends 3, Capcom?
Oh, well, they fucked
No,
up.
Oh,
blame
that's where I
Infinity.
fall for that one.
Ah, and Infinity though.
Um, BioShock Collection rated by the ESRB, so anybody looking forward to that can get their hands on that. Dragon's Crown OST is coming to iTunes worldwide. Final Fantasy 15, according to Square Enix, needs to sell 10 million in order to be considered a success. I put in successful for some reason. And I think that seems pretty unrealistic for Square. And
Yeah.
given their past, I mean, when you look at something like the Hitman Absolution, you look at the Tomb Raider reboot, and you look at Sleeping Dogs, all three of those games sold fairly well, and Square Enix deemed those as failures because they did not reach their expected amount of sales. And I think what Square's problem is that they set like these really high ass standards for these games in terms of units sold, but then when they find out that not many people are going to buy the amount that they expect, they deem it as a failure, rather than accepting it as is.
Hmm. That's exactly what they should accept it as is. You know, try not to take all your hard work and just squander it away because I mean, you do have a devoted fan base to Final Fantasy and Hitman and all this other stuff, but the stuff that they have been doing lately with like Deus Ex, with the pre-order bonuses, with Hitman, with the episodic content, I don't think that they've been making a lot of good PR for the moment.
No.
Not at
I
all.
would have to agree.
Yeah.
And it's like I was saying earlier. It just seems like they like to deem these games that to most people would seem as decent success stories, as failures. Like Sleeping Dogs, I know between that, the Tomb Raider 2013 and Hitman Absolution sold the lowest between those three games, but still sold fairly well. And I'm surprised they haven't tried to do a Sleeping Dogs sequel at this point because we've already gotten that Tomb Raider sequel, we've already gotten a new Hitman, and that game was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I was hoping for more because I only see more things that could come of it that could be improved on. But does anybody else have
Dom's
anything?
wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
Dom's wishful. Yep.
I'm hoping, man. Sleeping Dogs is like one of my favorite games. I should
know,
get
you
the
bet-
definitive edition and stream that eventually because I don't have all the DLC on the vanilla, but
Well, get it.
yeah, it's only like $20 right now, so I should get it sometime in the near future. Anyways, let's move on. The Division patch fixes NPC farming. So basically, what it does is, any like elite named NPCs that are like bosses in the game, you were able to like farm them. So now that's fixed. GameStop removes PC logo. Yeah, removes the PC logo off of Final Fantasy 15, claiming that it was a mistake.
Anime was a mistake.
Yeah, it seems like the PC version is potentially confirmed. They just don't want to announce it. I think that what Square really needs to do is just say, yeah, it's coming, but it's coming at a later date. And that's
They
what
did
happens
it
with a lot of
before.
people. Have they?
Yeah, they did it with Final Fantasy Type 0, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy whatever, and some other games. They released the PC version at a much later date.
Yeah, so I think that that they might as well just do that, just say that it's coming at a later date. But you know. Um,
Why the fuck you lying?
In some more Final Fantasy news, Final Fantasy X, or I'm sorry, not 10, Final Fantasy 11 servers officially shut down on PS2 and Xbox 360. It is a really
Good.
long time to have the servers up for that game.
Yeah, good thing they're canceling it too.
Why?
I take it you don't like that game?
No, just something that this shouldn't be on for that long.
Well, if it's so popular, then keep it on. Like, look at old MMOs. They're still on to this day, like Diablo 2.
Hmm. Yeah, didn't that game also get a patch recently?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, so I think that you know it's kind of unfortunate to see it shut down. I'm kind of confused as to why it shut down on 360. It would make more sense to shut it down on PS2, not 360, but that's just me.
Because it's an old game itself, but
You know, that's just me. I just feel like there's no reason to shut it down on the 360 version. The PS2 version makes a lot more sense to shut down, but you know, just me. But yeah.
Also, they also ended the entire support for the PS2.
Oh, officially.
Yep.
Yeah, officially it ended the support for PS2. So the PS2 lasted for 16 years or so. So congratulations, Sony.
Yeah,
Yep.
I hope the PS3 can last that long.
It won't.
They probably will. Never say never.
Yeah, you know, we can always see like people make like titles for it well after its life cycle, like we see with the PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast. People still make games for those, surprisingly. So you know, it's always possible.
Yeah,
Could happen.
And some more Final Fantasy and / Star Ocean news, or Fantasy Star, not Star Ocean, but we will talk about Star Ocean later. In Fantasy Star Online 2, you will be getting Final Fantasy 14 content. So
Yay! Can
yeah.
we get in West though?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Oh.
game that I don't even bother playing. Woo!
You
Levy,
think,
it's not all about you.
you think those crazy Easterns care about us Western gamers?
You think they want to have our money?
You think they're gonna give us Yakuza Kiwami?
Oh, they probably will give us Kiwami because they're giving us 0. Physically, no less. So, like, you know, I was
High
actually
five.
pretty happy to hear about that.
Yeah, but the point was they're gonna make us. We're gonna wait a long time for that one.
Yeah, 2017 for that one. So,
Oh man.
Kiwami's
damn it.
probably going to come out in 18, and then by that time, 6 will be already out in Japan, and we'll have to wait till 2020 to get that.
Yeah, I'll
Fucking
be
hell,
old
man.
man by the time those games come over here.
Yeah, I get to play my.
I'll be
2017.
24 when that fucking shit drops, and I'll be like, you know, I could have played this shit sooner. I'm still waiting on the HD collection that we're never gonna get, but you know, whatever.
When I was your age, I would play a game called Yakuza.
It comes out like every other year or some shit like that because Sega's lazy. Anyways, new screenshots for Tokaiden 2. I think there's also gameplay of it as well, so be sure to check that out. From the looks of it, I kind of got a Neo vibe from it because of some of the bosses that are in there, but, you know, maybe Neo is supposed to be like the more like darker version of Tokaiden, which would kind of be cool. Because I actually do kind of like Tokaiden.
I just call it Samurai Souls.
Samurai Souls, yeah.
Samurai
I'll be right
swords.
back.
Anyways, the CGI movie, and this is where we're going to talk about the vehicle product placement. Final Fantasy 15 King's Slave is a CG Final Fantasy movie, and it also has an Audi product placement. I
Oh,
just want
bitch,
to
give me
know.
my Audi.
I just want to know what is with all these movies getting like these vehicle product placements as of late. Like first it was Resident Evil, now it's Final Fantasy. What's next?
Well, because Final Fantasy, the guy who the car comes from royalty, so it makes sense why an Audi. But
Yeah, it
Aaron
makes
Paul's
sense,
gonna
but-
be in this. Who's like, yo, I'm gonna get myself an Audi, bitch.
Well, the thing is that it makes sense why the characters would even be able to have access to a vehicle like this, but I'm just confused as to why all these CG movies are getting like vehicle product placements for like these luxury vehicles, you know?
You're right. It should have been a Buick.
Levy's just sitting here shitposting.
I'm not shitposting. I'm actually being serious.
Ren, you were trying to say something a second ago?
Nah, I lost my train of thought.
Alrighty. Does anybody else have anything to say before we move on?
I don't think we do. I think everyone's quiet.
Nope.
Yep. And I see Levy's editing these these fucking questions.
I actually did do that one, I swear.
So Hatsune Miku Diva's X coming to North America. I can already taste James's salt.
Nah.
Can I use it for my pretzels?
He's not gonna give you the pleasure of.
No.
James.
He's like, no. I can just tell. He's just shaking his head violently. Be like, no, hell no.
Not really.
No.
He just doesn't want to get salty on air.
Of course he doesn't, because he doesn't
I hate
like
to
have
put
a
him on
problem
the
saying
spot
when
like
I don't
that,
like
but-
something, but I don't really care that much.
Yeah, you do. Secretly, you do.
He wants to turn Miku's panties into last night's dinner.
Jesus Christ.
What the heck? That just came back
That's
to.
gonna get
James wants to eat out her booty like groceries.
Wait,
No.
yeah, who?
They think Miku.
Oh, Ring. Oh, James. Wait,
And
you go out?
Ren said it, not me.
No, you did.
Anyways, why don't we move on before this becomes a roast? So
You ruined the fun.
One Piece Burning Blood is getting a new trailer, or has gotten a new trailer. Divinity Original Sin gets a pseudo VR support or VR mode. I don't know if they go into full detail in that article or not. It's been a while since I've taken a look at that, but be sure to check that out.
Who cares about One Piece?
For Guilty Gear fans, if you're on PC, Guilty Gear Overture 2 releases on PC, so yeah, that should be some interesting fun for Guilty Gear fans. And some more Final Fantasy news. Final Fantasy 15 minigame is going to have a separate release, so I think it's coming to like iOS and Android, so it's not really major, but I don't really see a point in re-releasing it if it's already in the game, but that's just me.
The same thing can be said about some other games. Like I know for a fact there are mini games in other games, and they just immediately have a standalone title for it. It's like, why?
Mm-hmm.
If they
Buy the
make a
game.
standalone title for it, then that's fine. But they took that piece out of that game, make it and just make it his own sort of thing. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. In some, I want to say this is like weird news. Shuhei Yoshida confirms that the old diamond logo of Sony isn't going anywhere.
It is.
Which I don't know why you even have to report on that.
Maybe
But, you know,
they. Well, I know for the PS3 they decided to change around the font, so maybe they just did that to assure people that everything was gonna be alright. You know, even though they changed the logos and shit to high hell. So I guess they're just gonna keep that around because it's tradition at this point or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think now. I'm trying to think of something with this. We're in 2016 now. At least we should try to experiment with something. That's what they should do too.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Well, then again, you know, there's always gonna be that crowd that doesn't like change. So you know.
Oh, boo-hoo. YouTube changes its website a lot. People complain about it, but later on, people get used to it. That's
Yeah,
the thing about change.
well,
No,
that's
let
why-
me. It gotten better. They gotten worse, but it
There-
eventually gotten better.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
true.
Yeah, that
since
part
we're
is
on the topic, since we're on the topic of change, I think that it's important to acknowledge good changes, and it's also important to acknowledge bad changes and what you shouldn't do for change. And I think what a lot of people don't like is, you know, frequent changes that are like extremely major and don't make sense for that point in time. You know, changes that are very drastic, not good, and don't actually benefit anybody using certain features or systems or anything like that. Or in this topic, it would be in the case of a logo. If there's nothing that really makes any sense to change a logo, then you know what's the point? But
changes.
Anyways,
Alright then. Moving on.
there's a new cinematic trailer for Doom, so be sure to check that out. PlayStation 4 / Vita exclusive Check Letter has gotten a new trailer and screenshots. We talked about this game a little bit earlier. Homefront: The Revolution has the Ignite the Rebellion trailer, and every time I see this game, I get more and more interested by it because I feel like it's just a major step up from the last Homefront game, so, or technically the first Homefront game. So anything they really do has just gotten me interested in that. The Final Fantasy 15 composer talks about the music of Final Fantasy 15, so if anybody wants to check that out, be sure to do so. Final Fantasy 15 also gets 2 new trailers in Japan. And speaking of trailers, and we were talking about this game a little bit too, Dark Souls 3. So the director of the Green Inferno, among many other horror films, Eli Roth, directed a new animated trailer for Dark Souls 3. There's also a behind-the-scenes video where Eli himself and a few others that were involved with the making of the trailer talk about how they're fans of the series and also what they were doing in the creation process of this trailer. So I do want to talk about this a little bit because it is a bit of an interesting trailer in on itself.
It was.
So what are your guys' thoughts on the trailer itself?
Whenever I watched it yesterday,
Never seen it. Yeah.
I watched it. I was gonna say when I watched it yesterday during the podcast, I thought it was really well done. It looks like something that it looks like something that you could see in an animated film, like a dark animated film. And to hear him talk about how he was a big fan of the series and how he was going to give his own take of what Dark Souls would be, it was really interesting to see how he took a concept that Namco and From Software already did to his own interpretation of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, in
It was
the
awesome.
in the making of video, he talks about how they got when they were contacted to do the trailer, they were excited about doing it, and they while they were going at it as fans of the franchise, they were also kind of like scared as to not to like deviate too far away from it. So they were always like asking them, or at least that's what they were saying in the making of video, that they were always asking Namco to kind of tell them when they were kind of straying too far from what Dark Souls 3 in particular is supposed to be about, and things of that nature. So it's good to see that they took that into consideration, because there are times where we see directors kind of do their own spin on something and it turning horribly wrong.
Yes.
Batman vs Superman.
Oh, God.
You were saying, Gren?
I was just sort of, laughing at what Libby said, but you can go on.
Oh, I'm good. I'll let somebody else talk because I've been talking a lot lately. So
As am I. James, talk. Say something. Say words.
Titties.
Besides those, we all know that's your favorite word.
Phobies.
you were saying you haven't watched the trailer, James?
No, I haven't seen the interview. I've seen
Oh,
the
you
trailer.
haven't seen the trailer or the?
He said he hadn't seen
I've
it.
seen the trailer, but not the interview.
I
Interviews
haven't
from
seen the Dark Souls trailer, so yeah, I
Oh,
can't
I
really
can break it.
comment on that.
Go watch that and the interview. It's really fun and really interesting to watch.
Well, I was
Is the
gonna
Eli
ask.
Roth the guy that did Hostel?
He's the, I believe, he's the guy who did Hostel, Cabin in the Woods, and he's also in Inglourious Bastards as the Bear Jew.
And if any of you remember the movie where SJWs get slaughtered in the woods, Green Inferno, he directed that.
Sweet.
Oh man.
Dom, you savage.
Hey! That he said that himself during an interview for the movie.
Good. Kill them all.
But what are your thoughts on the trailer? Then, what is your thoughts on the trailer, James? Because you did watch the trailer at least.
There was hype. And I thought it captured the atmosphere pretty well so far. We'll see how it goes, though. I really can't say much until I see at least one episode.
Well, it's not a show. It was just an animated trailer that they did.
Well, they're going to be doing a thing about it, so.
Did they?
Yeah.
I was in.
They're doing
I
the
wasn't aware
spin
of
on it. I thought that's what they were doing, but I'd be wrong.
No, yeah, I thought it was just an animated trailer for the game. It wasn't like a show or anything. But I was talking about how they should do a Dark Souls 3 or just Dark Souls animated series or something like that.
I
Whenever
would
we did
hope
the
they do.
podcast with Red.
No, it'd be
Yeah.
very hard to do.
Anyway, I think it's best that we move on now. This is another thing I don't feel like needs to be reported on, but it was. The Final Fantasy 15 demo looks better on PS4. Why is it even
Who
being reported?
expected
Why is
that,
this being
right?
reported?
Yeah, it's like we already
What
know
else
that the
is new?
PS4 is more powerful, so of course it's going to look better on PS4.
Because we want to drink the tears of
That-
Xbox fanboys.
You know, that'd be like, oh hey, this game looks better on PC. Well,
don't say.
yeah, of course it's gonna look better on PC. So it's like the same logic is applied here. You know, it's like the PS4 version does look better.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a system that has overall better specs than the Xbox One, so it's only natural at this point. And like we said on the podcast, it's kind of ironic that the Xbox used to be stronger than the PS2, and then it sort of flipped on its head after a while.
GG Microsoft.
Levy is fucking editing the document.
What a fucking.
Fucking
No,
Anyways.
here's the reason why. Because the next piece of news he was about to cover, it's garbage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's regarding the Xbox One in particular. There's an Xbox One Final Fantasy 15 edition that's coming out, or it's being given away by Microsoft through Twitter or some shit like that. So I don't know. I've taken a look at the console. It doesn't look all too great compared to some of the other editions that the Xbox One has gotten. But you know, that's me. I personally, when it came to the particular editions of both the Xbox One and the PS4, I really like the quote unquote Glacier White models. I actually own a Glacier White model PS4, so you know I prefer those models over the standard edition.
Yeah, it's like whenever I looked at the controller and the console, it looks really dumb. Like the design of it's terrible.
Mhm.
That's why I said it was garbage.
Yeah. Don't know. It is what it is.
I thought
some small. Oh, you were saying?
I was gonna say at least the Halo one looked cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Other than that, moving on.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on, because I don't think anybody really has an opinion on the Xbox One itself, other than it's garbage. Far Cry Primal is getting the survival mode in April. It's actually
Sounds
This is actually the second game to be getting a survival mode. MGO3 is getting a survival mode as well, so it's kind of interesting. Brotherhood Final Fantasy 15 is an anime prequel to Final Fantasy 15.
Looks cool.
You can actually watch that on YouTube, so you know you can just check it out there. Final Fantasy 15 Collector's Edition revealed, not reveals, because I was looking at what Levy's putting on here on this document because he's being a faggot right now. But yeah, there's like two different editions that resellers got their hands on, and now they're charging like upwards of like $700. Because I think Ren screen capped this earlier and put it up on Twitter.
Yeah, I basically put up a picture of all the scalpers, and they put it up on eBay for like $700, $600. I understand if something sells out, then you want to capitalize on something like that to make a profit, but good fucking God, man, have some fucking decency to at least play what you're buying. It's like these people buy this shit just to try to get rich quick, and it's like they have no passion for the game at all, which is shit that I hate because they know that it's sold out and they know that it's going to be in demand.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, you know, resellers are like one of the worst people to deal with, because they're not even in this game's case, but like in gaming in general, when there's a limited print of something, they really jack up the prices on those things. Like, I am not even able to get Yakuza 2 because how expensive that game is, and that's why I really want an HD collection to be localized. but you know, it's probably never going to happen. And that'll, you know, it's the same thing with like something like this. It's like Square Enix is not doing a whole lot of these collector's editions. They're only doing like 20,000 or so. So, you know, how does that feel to a lot of fans that might want to get that collector's edition, and knowing now that they can't because there are some assholes that probably took like 5 or 6 of them and now are flipping them for like 600 each? You know, I just think that's really ridiculous.
It is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's kind of unfair. It's really unfair to that base. I say it's really unfair base price, and they just can't get it because of that.
I can understand if you want to pick up a few copies and you want to, you know, if you have a store of your own and you want to sell them or some shit like that, then, you know, that makes sense. But, like, multiplying the price by, like, 2 or 3 times just to make a quick buck is not the way to do that.
It hurts you more than anything.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's going to be somebody that's willing enough to pay, but most people would just be like, fuck that shit.
Willing
I'll
or
just get them
stupid
standard
enough.
edition. Yeah. But, you know, anyways, let's move on to some of the smaller news. Melty Blood Actress Again current code is heading to Steam on April 19th. So, Steam players look forward to that. I
Sorry, you got me
don't
confused there.
I think it's
Melty Blood Actress Again current code. I get these articles all the time, okay? Just don't judge me. I want to report on them. Nobody reports on this shit. Nobody.
Nobody.
You gotta report on some of the like stuff that's like obscure sometimes, man. Like, why not?
Yeah, that's very obscure.
Yeah, like, but you gotta sometimes, because sometimes you gotta put the limelight on that and just get people interested. Because if they hear about it, they might check it out. But, like, you just gotta talk about it at least once in a while.
What we're talking about?
We're talking about an obscure game coming to Steam on April 15th.
Sweet. What question are we on?
We are on number 53 right now. So,
Okay, 53.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Oh
dive right
yeah,
into this.
the people are defending her.
Hold on. Let me read off this one because I haven't even gotten to it yet.
Oh.
Nintendo fires a controversial employee, Allison Rapp, and it's not for the reason that you may think. It's actually not even for the fact that she's a pedophile. It's actually because of her. I think it was like her affiliation with like Playboy or some shit like that.
I call it a lie. It is a lie.
I call that bullshit because if you flat out say that Nintendo hired a pedophile, then people will stay away from Nintendo and say, well,
this thing
Nintendo
though,
is down for pedophiles.
I don't think it's necessarily a lie because if it's
They're
contract
trying
saying
to
that you
save
cannot work
face.
in new. Oh wait, hold on.
Well, hold on.
If they can't like get another job while you're working at say Nintendo, Sony, or any other corporation outside of gaming industry, if you're not allowed to have another job or another contract, then yes, you would get terminated for it, or you have to terminate your other contract. So in a way, yeah, you would get fired for that. Now I know it's saving face for in her situation though, but that's not a unrealistic offense to fire somebody.
Yeah. And then James, you wanna talk about what you were gonna say?
It's a lie. I'm convinced they're lying. It's definitely the pedal thing had something to do with it.
It was.
There's absolutely zero chance that they'll ignore that. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's the primary reason why she's not working for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think what's even worse is that the fact that we've seen people trying to defend this individual. Like
that's because there's always someone stupid defending whatever fuck up thing it is.
It seems like nowadays you can commit the worst of atrocities and somehow still get people to defend you for some reason, and it just doesn't make sense as to why that happens. So Did Ren or Levy want to say anything?
Yeah, it's really kind of stupid how you could do you do the worst of things, but if you say something, they'll defend you. It's like, hey, abortion is bad, but genocide is good.
Right.
Defend me. No.
Hey, Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that I think this is just damage control at its finest. They already know what was going on, and that's probably one of the reasons why they fired her along with this. So I think that it's just, just cover up as usual.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I just think that. Well, at least I'm glad she's out of it.
Yeah, that is true. This may potentially mean better localization as opposed to Fire Emblem.
I'm hoping.
Sorry, was that too soon?
Nah, it's just right. Moving on.
Anyways, yeah, let's move on. Homefront: The Revolution has the first 2 levels of Time Splitters 2 playable in game. We talked about this a little bit last in the TCP podcast, so do you guys want to talk about that a little bit here?
I already
That's
stated my
fine.
opinions about it because I hadn't played the game, so nah.
Mm.
Hey, yeah, I
you've
haven't
played
played them, so I wouldn't care.
Hold on, say that again? No, I could barely hear you.
you've played Time Splitters 2, correct?
Yes.
So do you want to share some of your thoughts on the Homefront Revolution to have the first 2 levels of Time Splitters 2 in the game?
I think that mostly that level in question, the Serbia level or whatever, I think it's kind of awesome. It gets very atmospheric when you go on because of the zombies and stuff like that. And it's built well. Like the beginning, you can either put the base on alert or you can sneak in quietly with the mini map on your hand. So I thought it was pretty cool for what it was, and it gets very hectic and crazy when the zombies come in at the end. I think the second level is Notre Dame, which is a little more straightforward, but yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure because I keep thinking about that Wild West level, and I keep thinking if that's the second level or not. But if Notre Dame is the second level, it's a lot more straightforward than the first one. I think it's a pretty cool homage, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to play the same where you sneak into the base, but I hope that they keep the fundamentals intact so you can do that just in case.
Right. All right. I think we can move on because I don't think anybody else in here has actually played a Time Splitters game.
Wild
Oh,
Wild
you
West.
guys need to
Wild
get
Wild
good.
West. You mean that Will Smith movie?
Fuck off.
Sorry, go on.
Anyways, in some smaller news, for Wii U players, Mario Super Sluggers is heading on to the Virtual Console.
Good. At least that's actually a better baseball game than all the NBA titles or MLB titles.
Fail.
Yeah, true. In
Well, NBA too. So yeah.
so the April PlayStation Plus lineup is very disappointing. A lot of people are disappointed about that.
Yep.
You guys want to talk about why that is?
I hope you guys really love them indies.
Well, that's the thing though. That's the one thing that I think we mostly talked about was due to the fact that it's all indie titles, and I ended up bringing a point that nowadays most indie titles are really unoriginal and really don't have their own sense of identity.
Yeah.
But there are some instances where indie game has its sense of identity, like Shovel Knight, Stardew Valley, Mark of the Ninja.
I mean, there's good indies, but as Brandon brought up, there's not a lot of titles for PS4 that they can put on there for free. So it's like they're just stuck hammering the indies down your throat, which is kind of ridiculous, as I said last night. I think that what they should do to make PS Plus better is to offer more PS2 to PS4 games, and they could also lift that thing where it's like you have to play online in order to access PS Plus. Otherwise, if you don't have PS Plus, then you cannot play online.
Yeah.
Sucks.
To add on to that, I also mentioned that how come we don't see a lot of the PS1 games and a lot of the PS2 games that are already on the PS3 on the PS4? And if those PS1 games or those PS2 games had a PC version, why aren't we seeing the PC version ported over to the PS4 that Sony is working on? Like
All right, I'm
why doesn't
back.
Sony work on those PC versions and try to bring those
No.
out, kind of like Final Fantasy VII, where that was the PC version, and it apparently is better than the actual PC version because it does run properly.
Yeah, and also why
Well,
is
that was Square Enix's game though.
what
Unless
about
they get the company to license out the PC version, they cannot work on that.
what about Final Fantasy 9? Why won't we have that as a PC release? Oh right, we want to put it on iOS devices.
Fantasy 9.
Yeah,
I thought that was on PC.
Yeah, that was kind of my issue with it, and I really do agree with what Ren was saying earlier too, is that they really need to start adding in like those PS2 games as part of a PS Plus deal, and I don't know about you guys, but I really do think that to make PS Plus a little bit better and to make the subscription a lot more worth it, they should have some titles that you permanently own and some titles that are considered PlayStation Plus rentals. You know, um, so that way it doesn't seem like when you get PlayStation Plus, you're gonna lose everything that you ever got on there, or you have to pay the remaining amount if you got like DLC or games that were on sale through PlayStation Plus. So
Yeah, I also said I don't think that the license should expire on your games. You should be able to keep them. That would be a nice little bonus for the people who happen to either lose PS Plus or something. It'd be like, hey, you can keep all your free shit that we gave you, you know?
Yeah, because it's like, I pay for the service, I should have the right to keep it because you gave me that as a sale because I paid for the service and I'm a member. So.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. I think that even if they can give us a lot of AAA titles, which is understandable, they can't give us everything for free, which is understandable because, people got to pay for shit, but I understand that. But they need to have some sort of compromise to make it better. Otherwise, it's just not going to be a good service. It's like I said on Twitter, it's going to be one of those services that is like, it's only good for you to play online, and that's it. For any other incentive than to pay online and get some sales, it's not much there.
Yeah, and to kind of go back on the whole sales thing, if I have to pay the remaining amount, what's the point of getting anything on a sale that's from PlayStation Plus? Because
it's kind of stupid to like pay off you have to pay off the remainder. It's like going on a Steam sale. It's like, oh, you get this game for 50 cents and all of a sudden sale's over. You gotta pay the rest of the money, which is like $10. No.
Yeah, right. It's like that
It's
would be
retarded.
absolutely ridiculous. That's something that needs to be worked on. I do want to hear James and Brandon's opinions on that though.
On what exactly? Because I just got back and I didn't hear the question.
The I think we're
PlayStation
talking
Plus
about
lineup from April, and we were just talking about the problems with PlayStation Plus and why people are just kind of disappointed with the service.
Well, I'm going to say the same thing that I said back on TCP. You should have access to the older games that were released previous month for PS Plus. Because, what's the point on, getting it every month if every month game's not good? So when I go back to what games that you prefer to get, for example, Infamous was free in early 2015, I believe. So I want to get that instead.
Mm-hmm.
And also, why not just add PS2 games onto the thing for PS4 kids, and for the PS3, want to have PS1 and 2 games for free for that month.
Or put some incentive to make a string of PS2 to PS4 games that have online support, because this is the thing, since they killed the PlayStation 2 online service, people can't play those games online anymore without either going to someone that's doing a fan hosted server or something like that. So why not have support for those games online so people can play them? I'm pretty sure a lot of people like to go back and play games like either SOCOM or Classic, Ratchet and Clank Deadlock, or any other game online, like
Like the
maybe
Resident Evil Outbreak
Resident Evil
games.
Outbreak, Def Jam Fight for New York, stuff like that. So I think that that would be an opportunity to exploit if they had the opportunity to do so, but they're not doing that right now. So that's just my suggestion.
Broken Games
I
would love a
definitely agree.
SOCOM game.
No, yeah, I love SOCOM. It was pretty good.
Yeah, SOCOM was
I just want to
damn.
hear James's opinion on that before we.
Mine's pretty much the same as Brandon's.
Yeah. So
And
I think
I'm
we're
kind
all
of
in
sick of
agreement
them
with
doing
that.
a lot of indie shit. I'm kind of annoyed with that, actually.
The indie thing wouldn't
Oh
be so
yeah.
much of a problem if they did like maybe
Some interesting games. They don't have anything of my particular interest. It's always like some shit that I never heard of that is not that great. I think that they should have more games up there, like some of the stuff like Mark of the Ninja or Shank, or maybe even like have some sort of deal on Cuphead, because Cuphead is coming out pretty soon if it's not out already.
right.
No,
So
It,
it's stuff like that. Yeah, better advertising for indies.
Yeah, and to go off of that, like I was gonna say that what I think would work better too is if they did like, here's your set of indie games that you can get for free or on sale through PlayStation Plus, and here's your AAA titles for this month. That way, it doesn't seem like it's always just indies and nothing really worth getting. Like this month, the only AAA title you're getting is Zombie, and no one really liked Zombie, so
Nope.
it was.
Yeah, and this voting system it's to me. I think that maybe it should be expanded on multiple titles instead of just maybe like one or two, and then that's all you can pick. Sony picks everything else, so it's if they want fan interaction, they got to give it to us properly. They can't just say this is what we're gonna put out and we expect people to like it, because there's always gonna be someone that doesn't.
Yeah, like, and I think the server surveys should be made to get like various other games like say like you want, I don't know, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2 or some shit like that. I don't know, like I'm just pulling games out of my ass right now, but just any AAA titles, like people would vote on them to get them for free. I think people would be really into that because it
Yeah.
would give them the chance to say, okay, well, and I'm not talking about how they did it on the PlayStation Store. I'm talking about like a legitimate survey giving you like a list of games, games that have already been, PlayStation free on PlayStation Plus. If you want to vote for those as games on sale, as opposed to being free this time, because they probably won't repeat certain games. But maybe you can vote on games that haven't ever been on or haven't been free on PlayStation Plus before. So.
Can I give one more piece on this?
Yeah, sure.
In their defense on multiple AAA titles, we don't have as many games as we do for the PS3 yet. So I say give it more time, then we should see more AAA titles coming on for PS4.
Yeah, and I said that earlier. Like, I totally understand your point on that, is that they don't have a lot of AAA titles to give to us, but at least go out of their way to make the incentives of all the other stuff that they have on PS Plus something good to get. Because if they don't, then that means that they're not putting in enough effort, and people are going to be dissatisfied with the service, as I read off last night.
I'm sorry. I just since we're going to be talking about a lot of Dark Souls stuff, I just saw.
I just saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a new trailer.
Somebody knocked off an enemy, and then they ended up
And the
getting knocked
enemy's
off
like,
by
well,
something
fuck
else.
you.
Yeah.
The skeletons are back. Fucking
Yep.
Person X's stupid army.
Yep.
Oh, his ancestors are back? No.
Anyway, let's move on. Star Ocean 5 gets a release date. I don't think I have the article in here for their censorship thing, but I guess we can talk about that since it is in Star Ocean news. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the whole censorship on Star Ocean 5?
For the love of Christ.
You know we're always
do
gonna
it.
say, fuck it. It's terrible.
Well, I was gonna. I guess I should reword that. What are your thoughts on how the Japanese audience thinks that it's every Westerner that wants this censorship?
You're a racist. That's all I'm gonna say. Fuck out of here.
I would
Well,
just say that they're they're making ridiculous assumptions.
Yep.
But it was
I mean,
like
I
I
can't
said on.
necessarily blame them because
Yeah,
our
I
village
can't
idiots were like
necessarily
the
blame.
loudest.
And I'm gonna say what I said on Ren's podcast. We need to heavily stress to Japanese players that not everyone from the Western market or from the Western
You mean
side
like 90% of the West doesn't want
yeah,
this?
like not everyone from the West was for this, and a lot of people from the West are just as upset. So, that's something that needs to be stressed. Now, obviously, most people can't speak Japanese, unfortunately, but for those that can, please do stress that to Japanese players because it needs to be said. But does anybody else have anything to say about that? The whole censorship on Star Ocean 5 and how Japanese players are reacting?
Nah.
Ren, maybe?
I don't think that they realize the people that do this stuff and say that out of fear of the West. I just don't think that they look at a certain demographic when it comes to the people that just don't care about all this stuff in video games. Like we see, like I said in the TCP podcast, we see this stuff all the time in movies and things of that nature. So seeing it in a game to me is no different. But I think they're just looking at the whole politically correct side where they don't want anything like this in a video game at all, and that's not a good representation of everyone. It's really not.
Yeah.
That is generalizing to a highest degree, and I think they need to cut that stuff out and look at the real people who care about buying the product and the content in the product than to just censor that away from them.
And I do want to ask one more thing before we move on. Don't you guys kind of find it weird that these companies are willing enough to listen to people that don't even buy the games, that complain about things that don't really matter, as opposed to fans and consumers that complain about either the product if it has bad DLC or poor business practices were implemented into the product or something like that, or just if they complain about a company in general, they aren't willing to change or willing to listen. But when it's this small minority of people that don't even buy these products and don't even really care, they just want to complain just to complain, they somehow get listened to.
Yeah, it's a really bad habit, unfortunately. You should worry, as a developer, you should worry about giving the best content that you can while, sometimes you have to do fan service because that's the stuff that people like, and that's the stuff that is going to make them give you money. If you just don't do that and you decide to gimp your game even more, then people are going to complain about it because they feel that they're missing out on something that another crowd is. Like, especially when they censor stuff in the West, but they do fuck all to the copies in the East. It's like they keep those intact, and it's like, okay, what the fuck? Now I have to go and import this because this version is heavily gimped or something like that. So
yeah,
it's a bad habit. It needs to stop. If it doesn't, then it's only going to get worse, in my opinion.
Yeah, and in Nintendo's case, it's even worse because you have to actually import the console. Whereas, like on the Xbox One and PS4, you don't really have to worry about it because you just import the game. However, in Star Ocean's case, it's being censored in both the West and in Japan. So
that is really lame.
Yeah. So I think that's really dumb, a very dumb decision to do. But
yeah,
I know there are some people that are just like, it's not really a big deal.
it
think
is
that's
a big
really
deal.
Bad mindset to have because
it is a very big deal now.
Yeah,
because if you didn't notice, the Japanese consumers are ticked.
Yeah,
they're ticked, and it's damaging our relationships with them if this keeps up.
And not to mention that you give these people an inch, they'll take
a mile.
and a half.
Just don't. I don't know why they listen to them. Just ignore them and they'll go away.
So and that's why I think it's a big deal. And for those that think it's not a big deal, I would say that no, it is a very big deal, and it's just like Brandon said. It ruins a relationship from gamers overseas. So
yeah, it's like you give them an inch, it rips out your asshole, dude.
Right.
What?
And that's not to say that everyone overseas thinks that everyone is for this. It's just that group of Japanese gamers that think that that's what it is. They just clearly assumed that, but you know, it things like this will happen if no one says anything about it.
Yeah,
Well, of course not.
it's gonna get worse. That's my opinion. Unfortunately, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah, it's always going to get worse. Whether or not you're going to hope for change, even though change will come, but you won't like it.
Yeah. Um, if it's not positive change, then I'm not for it. But
Nope.
I think it's time we move on to some other smaller news and some various other stuff. Inferno Crawlers is once again a PC exclusive. It's basically a dungeon crawler game. It went from being a it went from being a PC exclusive to PS4 exclusive, and now it's going back to PC exclusive.
Why don't we just put it out both?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're trying
Science.
to. I don't
Science
know.
rules.
I don't know if it's trying to get a particular version out first, or if there were some like deals going on at the time, and now they're changing it because something went wrong or the deal went south. So I don't know why it keeps switching, but it is. For anybody that's looking forward to Inferno Crawlers, do know that it's coming over to PC again. In some other news, Titanfall 2 dev team is 30% larger than its original. I think this is due to the fact that Titanfall 2 is going multiplat,
Yeah,
so
it'll
it
die
makes
on
sense.
PC in a month.
It'll just die out, period.
Last I checked, it started out as a mech game / first-person shooter, and then they added in modes that basically turned it into a generic first-person shooter with parkour. So I don't know. Like, does anybody really care about Titanfall at this point? I don't even know why it needs a sequel, but
Me neither. I only the frag heads may apply. They're gonna like it for a little bit, and then it's gonna die out.
Games HD.
Yeah, I mean, look here. I don't mind if people like certain types of games, but I have never heard of a video game that had a multiplayer that died out in a few months.
Yep.
Like
I
that is
have called Operation Raccoon City.
well,
I don't count.
Somehow play that game. I don't understand why, but for the most part, it's dead.
Dude,
but people,
Dom,
there is a
still play
small
that.
cult following for that game.
people still play that. Like no one plays Titanfall anymore. Seriously.
Yeah,
So
Titanfall is dead. People
So
still
I-
play Metal Gear Online.
Yeah, people still play MGR. I mean, I say MGR, but MGO. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd think MGO would be dead considering Konami and just how poor of a iteration of MGO 3 is, and yet it still has a following with just 3 fucking maps, and the rest is DLC,
Yeah.
and it doesn't even add that many, compared to like MGO 2, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So,
Anyways, let's move on before we shit on Konami and diverge from the topic. Dark Souls 3 best trick by From Software. It's like some little video. If you want to check it out, you don't really have to, but it's there. PlayStation VR Core package is now available for pre-order. If I'm not mistaken, there's not going to be a whole lot of these up for pre-order at the moment, so if anyone really cares about VR at the moment, there's your chance to pre-order something that costs potentially more than the console.
I think they said that it sold out in Europe, so that's a little bit of a tidbit to add on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about this on your podcast too, Ron. Daidoji from Senran Kagura appears as a playable character in the Brawler Uppers, which is a PS Vita game that kind of plays like the Yakuza games, but sort of not. And there's also gameplay showcasing the character, so if anybody's interested, be sure to check that out. There's a main visual for the Tales of Zestiria anime, so if anybody is a Tales of fan, be sure to check that out.
Sounds interesting.
Ubisoft opens up a new development studio in the Philippines.
Don't care.
So, yeah, if anybody's in the Philippines and is interested in getting a job, go there, I guess. I don't know.
Don't go there. It's a trap.
It's a trap!
It's a trap.
Hey, you're gonna go there, and Sam Fisher's gonna snap your neck.
Right.
Yep, exactly. That's why it's a trap.
There is a new DLC character for Hyrule Warriors Legends. So, yeah, if anybody cares about that.
Oh yeah, Nintendo Business Support DLC.
Yep. And in some more David Hayter news, David Hayter says he has no particular love for Kojima.
Rip.
I think, David is like holding in like 2 years worth of salt. You know?
David Haterate?
Yep.
Hater. Hey, he's a hater.
I
So go
mean,
figure.
he's holding in two years worth of salt about MGS5. I think he just wants an apology, if anything, from Kojima himself.
Would you guys classify any of his words as bad PR though?
Yes and no. I mean, he hasn't been really hostile. He just kind of is just like
He's speaking
saying,
his mind.
Yeah, he is speaking his mind, definitely, but he's not being hostile. It kind of reminds me of the time when he was kind of firing shots at Kiefer Sutherland because they were gonna reboot 24 and replace him as for somebody else as the main character.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of being like, "Oh yeah, I totally know how that feels, Kiefer."
Well, but everyone threw Kiefer under the bus. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So I'm not really surprised that David's kind of coming out and just saying things, but I do think that he does have to kind of move on from it and just look for other roles.
He's in Bloodstained, so I think that'd be fucking fun.
I think Bloodstained will probably become a larger series. It'll become the new Castlevania and carry on its legacy. So if David ends up becoming a reoccurring character or whatever, or reoccurring voice on that franchise, if it becomes a larger thing, I don't think he really has to worry about that. I think that, and I think you all will agree with me on this. I think that he needs to start looking at other roles and just, rather than just kind of being salty about 5, just kind of reminisce about the good times he had with all the other Metal Gears he was involved with.
Yeah, the actors that he worked with, it's like, don't hold a grudge forever.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of solid snakes.
No, it's like, what is a man? A miserable company known as Konami.
Huh.
Right. Does anybody else have any thoughts on that, though?
Grow the fuck up.
Why you always hating? Why you
always hating?
Haters gonna hate.
And lovers gonna love.
No.
And R. Kelly's gonna piss on you.
All right.
Oh,
okay. Then that is, we are not going to delve into that territory. New Tokaiden 2 gameplay. I did kind of talk about that earlier, so you can check that out. Romance of the Three Kingdoms 13 is coming to PC and PS4 for the Western audience. So anybody that's a fan of that franchise, get excited for that. From my understanding, there hasn't been a Romance of the Three Kingdoms for a while here in the West, so there's something to look forward to. Dark Souls 3 VHS style trailer. Yeah, there's a VHS style trailer that's out. It looks really cool. Very like 80s style trailer. It's very silly and out there, but I like it. I think it's pretty cool. But has anybody else seen this trailer, by the way?
I did. It was interesting.
Yeah. I know James saw it, so what are your thoughts on that, James? The VHS trailer?
I know. I think there's a fan that did something like that for Dark Souls 2 a while ago when it came out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was like a parody of the 70s or 80s, like promotional kind of thing.
Hmm.
Didn't Far Cry Blood Dragon did that?
Yeah, Far
Yeah.
Cry Blood
Yep.
Dragon did that because it was set in. It was an 80s styles future, which is actually a style I would like to see in a lot more video games, like GTA, for example. I think it would work really well.
Kung Fury.
Yeah, Kung Fury was also similar to that as well with the whole 80s vibe.
Yep. I've played that game, Kung Fury. It's an interesting little game, but not something I put a lot of time into. Because it's the same thing over and over again. I was kind of hoping for something more in the vein of like Double Dragon or something like that, you know. Anyway, in more Dark Souls 3 news, Dark Souls 3 sells 82% during its debut in Japan on the PS4, while the Xbox One version fails to even make it to the top 50. Yeah,
What
I'm
a
not
surprise.
surprised.
Yeah.
yeah, it's considering that the Xbox One is dead in Japan.
Mhm.
This is not surprising. Although that said, it's actually good to see that it's selling very well, if it's for the PS4 version at least, you know. But you were saying, Brendan?
You said rarely, didn't you? Yeah, you did.
Did I say
You
that?
did sneak up in. You about to see it rarely, but I forgot. You said you corrected yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, I heard that. Sorry, it was funny.
Confused, but um, yeah, with the PS4 version, it's really nice to see that it's selling very well, or fairly well, but you know, and fucking Levy editing the thing again.
What did I do?
This goddamn 5-year-old.
I see the document. I'm looking at this document. How do you think I see? How do you think I know about this stuff? Anyway,
Dom's genius.
so as far as it's selling well, do you guys think that says something about the game, as far as the PS4 version is concerned?
Yeah, if people like it.
Anybody else have anything to say before we move on?
Nope.
Not really, not me.
Okay then. We can move on. I will not stream Don't Shit Your Pants, Levy. You can go eat a bag of dicks, sir. I will be streaming Mario Dicks, though, for a little bit with Ren after this, so do look forward to that. Capcom, in the last bit of news, Capcom is making a mobile gaming division. They're reviving it, basically, and they will be utilizing IPs such as Mega Man and Monster Hunter. I've said this before. It's like the pachinko market. You know, you use these IPs and you devalue them severely whenever you use them for things like pachinko and mobile gaming, because a lot of these people that go to mobile gaming and pachinko machines, they don't care about these IPs.
What's a Mega Man?
Yeah,
Exactly.
who's that guy? Isn't he buried 6 feet under by now?
Isn't this a Cry of Fear games?
Mega who? Mega what?
Is that a part?
Mega
Is that a part of the? Is that an Angry Bird?
Is that a Candy Crush?
Fuck
Turn
King.
it down.
I'm sorry, but fuck the creator of Candy Crush.
Is that a Mighty Number 9? Oh wait, he's already dead.
No, it's a mighty number delay.
He's already dead.
You know,
He was dead on arrival.
I think you all will agree with me when I say this. I think Capcom needs to put more money on their other games, such as the Resident Evil 2 remake. Also, Martin Lightning is the best Final Fantasy character. You fucking scrub.
Ooh, get wrecked.
Yeah, unfortunately, she's your waifu, Martin. Don't lie.
Get fucking wrecked.
But anyways, back on topic. I really do think that they have to put the more of that money into, you know, like the Resident Evil 2 remake and other IPs, rather than put it on the mobile gaming division that's being revived. it doesn't work. Like I just think that it makes more sense to put money on the things that make Capcom money rather than the thing that's gonna hurt them in the long run.
I agree with that.
100%.
100%. I think that them doing this mobile division was a huge mistake, considering the fact that they just did not learn the last time that this didn't work. Like I said on the TCP podcast, this is their second time doing this, and after this, they restructured. So it's probably going to be the same scenario where they have to cut something off because it's not going to be working out too well, or they're not going to be siphoning enough money from it for it to be profitable.
Right.
Yeah,
The only way I can see this working out to where it's not really, in the way of anything, is if they still make, their actual games and they don't put too much focus on mobile, and they don't try to do the same thing they did with Breath of Fire, where they released a game that didn't even resemble Breath of Fire and slapped a number on it and called it the sequel to the last one. So, as long as they don't try to do that, I think it won't be that much of a big deal. But in the long run, it would make more sense to just put more money on the games and projects that they have going forward right now, rather than focusing on something that has been proven to fail.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if it's going to be a failure the first time, then you damn well better have all your I's dotted and all your T's crossed so it won't fail again, because if it does, then you're going to be back at ground zero again, wondering why you did this in the first place.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you guys can hear clicking of controller around, sorry, PC gaming.
That's cool. But does anybody else have anything to say before we wrap things up?
I said my piece.
I did too.
Levy or James or Brandon?
These guys are ripped.
I think I already said mine in the TCP things. Like, it's good that you're trying to get some games out there, but it's not going to work because no one's going to know who the fuck they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also, playing games on a phone is a disaster.
Yeah, that's the same thing I said. Playing games on a phone is a fucking headache. I don't want someone to call me while I'm playing a game. I don't want my phone to shut off and lose progress. It's something I don't want.
Tell me, Mom, I died at the Cutman stage.
Yeah,
Mega Man is not a game you want to play on mobile.
Yeah, you need to be precise. If you, like I said yesterday, if you fall off a platform, that's it. You're ripped. You're falling into that bottomless pit. So you're gonna want a precise controller, or at least some type of pad that you can at least have control over the character.
Yeah.
Not this touchscreen garbage that they've been implementing.
Yeah. I mean, the DS had a touchscreen, and it worked.
Yeah, if it's like an RPG, that might work. But anything like a platformer, I don't think it'll work.
No.
Like, I just highly doubt that.
They better make Mega Man Battle Network 300 or some shit.
300?
They better remake Mega Man X.
Oh,
but, wait, that's what emulator's for. My bad.
That said, I'll let Brandon and James go before we wrap things up, unless if they want to pass or.
Can you read us the question one more time? I'm a little distracted.
So, Capcom is making another mobile gaming division. They're reviving it. And they're going to be using
money, Capcom.
They're going to be using IP such as Mega Man and Monster Hunter.
Yeah, they wasting money. They might as well stop. Because mobile didn't work out for you the first time. Why do it the second time? Your money is with the consoles and your other fans. Why?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was that noise?
You were saying, James?
It's just a giant waste of time, to be honest. Huge waste of time.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement.
All they have to do is listen to... I've said this before, I think, in a podcast, but why doesn't all these Japanese companies, well, every company in general, have constant polls and questions on Twitter or other social media from the fans?
Yeah,
this ain't making money. You just ask people what they want.
I think Ren was saying this too during his podcast. Like, a survey only takes about like 3 minutes to put together. It shouldn't take this long to have one up. And when I think we were talking about this when Mega Man, a possible Mega Man 11 was brought up. Like, why does it have to take 2 polls in order to ask people something if they want a particular thing or something needs to be changed rather than just the 1 poll? Yeah, unless if the poll is different from the first one, why does there need to be 2 polls? There should only be one. And if anything, why aren't there more polls regarding like the company and whatnot? So it is what it is. But I think since we're all in agreement with that, I think it is time to wrap things up. So I'll let you all do your outros. So let's have Ren go first.
You can follow me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. You can follow me on Twitter at RenOperative_. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of movie endures tonight with the TCP, so that's going to be entertaining. I don't know when I'm going to do the Doom playthrough. I'm supposedly going to do that in Final Fantasy 15, so just stay tuned for that, and I'll upload that to the channel.
Yep. And then we'll let Levy go next.
You can just find me on YouTube. Just everywhere, every social media is Levy the Irishman. And a little piece of advice before you go: get Stardew Valley. You're not going to regret it.
Shameless plug.
And also the guy who made it. The guy who made it deserves a lot of attention. So yeah, that dick's keeps gonna get sucked all day.
Okay, then.
Okay. We'll get quoted
If it's
later.
Stardew Valley, this game deserves it.
Calm down, whore.
Okay.
I'm just gonna make fun of you now from now on with that entirely.
Oh, alrighty. Let's have James do his outro.
You can find me at DevHunterJames at Twitter, and you can find me on twitch.tv/TheHeroJames, and here on the TCP, and the BioDevils group.
Yep. And last but not least, we'll have Brandon do his outro.
Brandon.
I can't believe it's over already. Good lord.
It was a lot of stuff that we had to cover, but a lot of it was like smaller stuff. It looked like a lot, but it really wasn't. It was just like a lot of smaller stuff just to fill up the time, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at ArcadeMagic504. Of course, you can always catch me every on the TCP, the episode discussion, of course here on the BioDevils, and anywhere else I'm with these guys.
Yep. And as for me, you can obviously find me on YouTube, Twitter, BioDevils Dom. Make sure you put that underscore in between Devil and Dom. And then on Twitch, you can find me as Dom241996. I'll actually be streaming a little bit of RE6 after this, before we even do those movie endures that Renegade was talking about. So be sure to check that out. We're gonna have some fun with that, I hope. You guys asked me to do it, so I'm kind of forced to do it at this point.
Yeah, and we still might do that. You never know. We just wrap all that other stuff up. We still might do that. TCP plays Resident Evil 6 tonight.
Yeah, that's why I want to do it right after this particular stream. But, it is what it is. So do look forward to that, and we'll catch you guys in the next podcast. And I should be getting some new videos shortly after this, sometime next week. So yeah, look forward to those. All right, later, guys.
Yep. Have a good night.
Later.
Man.
Bitches.